highlights. I could watch them all day. Honored to be joined by two-time Super Bowl champion, Super Bowl 21 MVP, and co-host of Sims Complete, Mr. Phil Simms. How are you this morning? Thank you.
Okay, I'm doing really well. I traveled a bit, got home
Good.
yesterday. Nothing great. Family reunion, which was great. I shouldn't say that, but seeing a lot of family and friends and everybody in Kentucky, and I'm enjoying listening to you guys about the schedule. There's nothing I hate worse than, well, let's see. I see a win. Oh, they could lose a win. Man, I've never gotten into that talk. I never will. And I'll give this little point about you guys. The Washington team. Think about their season last year. Oh my gosh. I think the second game of the year. The Giants have them beat 17 different ways, but they don't have a kicker. So they keep going for two. They lose the game. Malik Neighbors drops a pass that's going to win the game. They won a game against was it Philadelphia where there was a drop pass? The game's probably going to end at the catch. We had the Hail Mary. I mean, man, Washington, Tampa Bay won that game 20 different ways in the playoffs against Washington, but they said, we refuse to win. So we're going to fumble the snap or we're going to whatever it is. So I think that's why you see a little Washington. We got to see it again to really, truly deep down believe it.
Are you a believer?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I like what they're doing, but I think this year is going to be a different thing in many ways. You know, I kind of hate all the talk always. Well, we know what Cliff Kingsbury likes to do on offense now. And we're going to, well, you knew that before the season started. You know what he did, where he's been in college and how he's coached and the offense he's run. And he did it in Washington and he had great success. And Jayden Daniels, yeah, I mean, I thought he would be great. I thought early in his senior year at LSU, I said, wow, he's going to win the Heisman Trophy putting up these numbers. This is over. But he played awesome. So it'll be interesting to see where they go from where they were last year.
I think we have MVP odds I wanted you to look at. We'll just skip down to that. Jayden MVP odds, since you're talking about what sounds like you don't want to use the word regression, but might be.
Oh, no.
No, we're not doing that. But here we have them. What do you make of these and where Jayden is? Is he more likely to be the MVP or more likely to take a step back?
Oh, he's not going to take a step back, but I don't think he'll be the MVP just because, let's see, Lamar Jackson. I mean, you talk about putting up numbers. He can put up whatever he wants. I'll throw for 300, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. And by the way, I'll run for 50 or 60 just to let you know. Josh Allen, Joe Burrow, Patrick Mahomes, man, these are some guys, even if the team is not good, they're still capable and willing and can still have outstanding seasons statistically. But, you know, the team's got to win. You got to play well. And it's got to kind of fall your way to be an MVP in the NFL.
I think a lot of Giants fans are watching like, will you two get a grip? You're starting this interview talking about the Commanders in Washington. Get out of here. So let's shift gears to those Giants. Lots being made. Expectations, the vibes, the quarterback of the future. Have you talked to Jaxson Dart? Have you met him? What's that relationship?
I was hoping to go down there last week. Couldn't make it work to watch him practice and all that. I will maybe this week. A little busy, but I want to. I did like Jaxson Dart coming out in the draft. And, you know, I kind of waffled with some of these quarterbacks back and forth, Shedeur Sanders, all the stuff that was going on, Shuck at the University of Louisville. And I think about a week before the draft, I was let me just look at them, about 20 plays that I kind of always put in categories and keep and kind of show the talent of these guys. And I'm watching Jaxson Dart, and I said, oh, gosh, the big thing that came up, forget the decision-making, the throwing, all that's good. I think what really sent it over the top for me and why I'm glad the Giants got him was the fact that his mobility was just better than I was giving him credit for during the offseason as I watched all these quarterbacks. You know, runs at the right time, gives the play every opportunity to have success, and when in doubt, the pressure's too much, he can make it happen. And he knows situation where that mobility comes in very handy too. So it's going to be interesting to see. I'm really more interested to see him throwing the football, the power. You know, people say, oh, power's overrated in the NFL with quarterbacks. Well, when you say that, you and I are not going to have a conversation because that's just a bunch of crap. But he is playing up here in the north. You can get a lot of windy games, or you're lucky sometimes in seasons you don't. But throwing in that wind is going to be always a tough test for quarterbacks at Giant Stadium.
This is why I love talking to you. I would never even consider. Here I am complaining about people looking at the schedule. You're already thinking about the wind at MetLife, which we love. I love that perspective. It's so true, and it's so valuable talking to you and hearing about that. Do you want him to sit? Plain and simple. Do you want him to sit?
When you say want him to sit, what does that mean? What's your
to start
definition
the entire what would success be for that organization? Him sitting the entire year? Would that be your preference, or
no, not even close? No, I love all this. Well, they need him to sit for a couple of years. Couple of years, we'll have 3 general managers come in between that and 3 different head coaches. And that is the most overused, stupid thing that I see people say on TV. Oh, you say it? I'm sorry, Kay.
No, but, I just think like I want, in the perfect world, they do well with one of the other quarterbacks that are in that amazing quarterback room, and he can sit and develop. Like, the success for the Giants would be they don't need to put him in there, but you're saying let it rip. What's the ideal situation for you, for idiots like me to listen to?
Oh, I'm so sorry.
No, it's great.
I
love
do this
it.
all the time, Kay. I stick my foot in the mouth all the time, so I'm used to it. But the ideal situation. And, I hate to say this, I never like to ever put me in it. But in 1979, I wasn't ready to start the season. But I stood on the sideline, and after about the 3rd game, I go, I kind of got it now. I really feel so much more confident if I do get in the game and play that I'm going to do well. And 2 weeks later, I was the starter. So the ideal situation to me, let's don't talk about playoffs and all that about the Giants, but they get off to a decent start. We see the whole team is better than it was last year. The defensive line, the last 2 drafts, I think have been very good. All that, and we're respectable. But then there comes a point, 6, 7, 8 weeks into the season. Then I think, and unless you see that there's an opportunity to really be great, we got to find the spot to put Jaxson Dart in there, give him some experience, and let him have some success and some failures, because that's how you grow in the NFL as a quarterback.
I saw you got 2nd most Rookie of the Year voting that year. You lost to Otis, but you had, it was quite a season for you. Everyone talks about confidence, giving you the confidence. And that's what's being talked about with Jaxson a lot, that he has this, they're using, the kids are using the word aura to describe him. And the Giants never have a quarterback with aura. Excuse me. This man has aura. Tell me about this 1987 man.
Yep. Well, that was the year after the Chicago Bears and Jim McMahon. And I did not want to do this, but sometimes you just go, all right, shut up, I'll do it. And I wish I wouldn't have, but I'm that guy. I always give in. If people pester me enough, I give in. And this is one of those spots, and I get tired of seeing that. That in my workout video. Oh my gosh, I'm eating them both.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah.
I'll ask you this in a real way. How much will that confidence matter are you seeing that in Jaxson? Is it important, or are we making too much of it?
No, you're not making too much of it. Deep belief in yourself, even sometimes when you have failure, which, listen, that's always a good thing too, in a way, to get beat up a little and toughened up and realize that the NFL, man, it's rough on all quarterbacks. And I mean that from all the way from the top to Lamar Jackson, all the way down to guys at the end of the totem pole as you look at it. Terry Bradshaw, we were in the Super Bowl that year. He was in a pregame show, I think it was, for CBS. And they brought up me about whatever. And he goes, listen, I'm not going to try to imitate the way he talks, but he goes, Phil Simms has been to hell. Now he's going to go to heaven. And, as a QB, you got to go to hell first. And there's a little truth to that. You need to get roughed up a little bit early to realize whatever you're doing, it could be really good, but you got to push forward even more as far as preparation, your talent, who you are, and learning and throwing the damn ball better. It just goes on. And then sometimes, like I said, if it comes easy, you might think it's going to be like that all the time. But Kay, you know it, and I know it. It's week to week, and it's always rough in the NFL.
It certainly is. There's so many topics to get to. One last Giants one for you. Speaking of confidence and all of that, as a Giant, when you're seeing this like treasure chest thing that's happening, and you're thinking like, what would Parcells think of this? The Giants defense, they have a new celebration they're rolling out. Okay, at OTAs, it's a turnover treasure chest. I think we have it. Yeah, there you go. When you think about the Lawrence Taylors, the Carl Banks, the Big Blue Wrecking Crew, what would they feel about a turnover, Tress? What do you make of this?
Yeah, I can't stop smiling. I want to laugh. I mean, Bill Parcells, I mean, come on. I mean, he would, he would eviscerate everybody if we did something like that. Not me, us off the defense. Hey, none of that. I mean, listen, Bill, I'll just say I could talk about Bill for 2 hours.
Mhm.
He had the great ability as a head coach to every day, and I really mean this when I say it, every day to come to practice and be the mean guy, to keep forcing you forward and just never give you a chance to settle in or be like, oh, we got it. No, Bill he drove you to no extent. And there was never an off day from him. And we never had a practice where the energy wasn't there, whatever. And as one game we played against Washington, we win the game, the headlines, oh, the Giants played so hard and blah, blah, blah. What do you think he said when he came in the next morning to talk to us? Damn, do I have to give you guys credit for trying hard? Can I take that for granted? And, so he had a way of throwing water on anything that happened good for us.
But I would like that.
Keep on edge.
I would love that. Whereas, Drew Bledsoe was on just a couple weeks ago, and I tried 9 different ways getting him to say something nice about but didn't it make you better, Drew? Didn't it what was the lasting effect of that? And he was just like, hey, no, absolutely. It was a pain. It was awful. It was there isn't like a redeeming nature to that at all.
Oh, there 100% is. I'm the opposite of what Drew says. I mean, you cover it. How tough the league is playing and being a quarterback, whatever. You got to keep guys on edge. That's the only way you can win consistently in the NFL. Great talent, but keep it on the edge and never have. He was at his worst when we played teams like I hate to bring them up, but it was the Arizona Cardinals. They're 4-8, and there's a practice that's not going the way he wants. He just explodes. Because he knew emotionally we weren't going to look at the Arizona Cardinals like we were looking at the Dallas Cowboys or the 49ers. But he set a tone and created an environment where it became that. And, players would get mad about, oh, we shouldn't worry so much about the Cardinals. But, go out there, and because of him, we would just dominate the game. And it was just, all right, it's done. Let's move on to the next one. But it was because of Bill, his style of coaching. Hey, he yelled at me so much in practice. It was every day. And, you never really get used to it. One day he's yelling at me, and I just turned to him and I said, will you shut up? And he goes, and I say it in such a way. I said, all you do is complain. And I said some other words, which I won't say with you. And he stops and he turns and looks at me, backs up. He goes, ooh, Sims is mad. Ooh, do you want to hit me, Sims? Is that what you want to do? And I just go,
like a movie character.
There's nothing wrong with you. And that's who he was. He was always on top. Lawrence Taylor, I mean, come on, he called out Lawrence as much as or more than anybody on the whole team.
Now was Lawrence giving it back to him?
Yeah, Lawrence, of course, they had a great relationship. So Lawrence is like, yeah, okay, yeah, all right, I got you. Just like, he's the only one that can really play it off a little bit and go, okay, Bill, I got what you're trying to do.
Are you telling me, Phil, that there's not like one tender moment with this man?
Oh, well, yes, there is.
Okay.
And usually it came when I was really playing bad and, and things were just going the way we wanted. And, you lose confidence as a quarterback. I mean, I was losing confidence during the 86 Super Bowl season because we had no receivers. They were all hurt. And we're playing good teams, and damn, I mean, my numbers were horrendous, and it just unnerves you. And he just came up to me one day right before practice and talked to me for like 1 minute, and it changed my attitude completely. And honestly, from there on out, I didn't have a bad game. I played well the rest of the year, and so he knew when to soften up and give players encouragement when they really needed it and their confidence is shook a little bit like mine was. So
I love that. I have a really bright young producer named Cal who just a huge Patriots fan. And he just texted, that's how Belichick learned to chew out Brady more than any other player. It's true. It's
There
not
is
wrong. And we
something to
see,
that. Yes.
yeah, we see some of that with Sean and like the maniacness and how that all works. But you have to, obviously change for generations. I'm going to keep it in the NFC East here. And so another coach that sort of came up, if we can segue to the Cowboys, Brian Schottenheimer, I opened my show with this. He got caught saying that Dak's in a developmental phase. Not truly what he meant. He was talking about the backup quarterback, but he did say, yeah, like I want to develop him. And of course the people who hate Dak just took that and ran with it as he's in year 19, he shouldn't be developing. Dak is 31. Phil, love you, amazing career. I'm seeing all that hard work behind you. You didn't make your first Pro Bowl until you were 30 or your first ring until 31. What do youth, and there's Drew Brees, there's plenty of people to look at that we needed to preach patience on. What do you think about those comments from Schottenheimer?
Well, let me say this. Dak has played seasons. 2 years ago, his season was to me, his Super Bowl year. It was the best I ever saw him play. It was the best I ever saw him throw the football. And, his accuracy, the power, the spin, everything about it. I was like, wow. And then, of course, last year, unlucky and got hurt. So, Brian Schottenheimer saying what he did, it's just he's going to look at the quarterback a little differently than the other coaches. Brian Schottenheimer was a quarterback, I think, in college or whatever. And what I like about him, too, he's a man's man. He's like his father. And he never went out there and was begging for a head job. He just did his job, whatever it was, on the coaching staff. And he finally got rewarded. And I'm really happy for him. I think he'll do a great job. He's honest. And I think what he's just saying, he's going to get with Dak and try to drive him up to the next level. And look, that's not far for Dak. He can be one of the top 5 or 10 quarterbacks in the NFL, but it takes everything. Help around you, good coaching, good play calling, and he's got the receivers. I think they got a good offensive line. So, Dak has a chance to get back in the mode that we saw 2 years ago, I think, this year.
We'd love to see it, especially with George Pickens, some of the additions. And we've seen these nice, beautiful stories for quarterbacks in preaching patience on them, a la the Sam Darnolds, the Bakers, even Geno. But Dak is a winner. There are good things, obviously, that he's done. And I'd like to see that. I'd like to see.
He is a natural leader, Kay.
Okay.
When he was at Mississippi State, I watched him and saw it, and I go, man, his junior year, they were ranked 1 or 2 in a poll that year. They were having a great year. And in his senior year, they were horrendous. And I did my first Cowboy game. He started, and I said, can you believe you get a lot better protection in the pros than you did in college? He goes, oh, yeah, man. So he knew right away. But I forgot your question. I was answering too quick. Sorry.
No, I love it. And I just, like you winning a Super Bowl, I just think in general, yeah, I think guys should sit and develop. Rookies should develop at the quarterback position. That's my bad thing that I say. But the good thing I think you're agreeing with is that patience is necessary. Look at Drew Brees. Look at, and in case, I would like to take you down this history. I loved seeing the footage to bring you into the show. And in case anybody might forget, which I'm sure nobody has, not only are you a 2-time Pro Bowler, 2-time Super Bowl champ, you did have the best performance by a quarterback in the Super Bowl ever. You still hold the records for completion percentage, Phil, for passer rating, better than Montana. Sorry, Breeze. Sorry, Mahomes. When did you know? Let's start here. When did you know Super Bowl 21 was going to be that kind of game?
I never knew and didn't think about it in that respect. We were really, except for maybe one game, the last 7, 8 games of the year, we were on fire. I mean, we needed to score. We got it done. We made a lot of big throws and catches, and it just the whole team was on fire. And you get in those rhythms and ways. All teams do. Mostly, you get in that spot where it's going to work, and everything you do, just you make it work. And we kind of got that about midseason that year, and we just kind of marched through the rest of the year. I think we won our last 9 games that year. So, during the week, I didn't realize it. Everybody kept saying, "Oh my God, even Bill Parcells at the Friday last practice, we stopped before it was over," which he never did. And he goes, "Sims, gosh, leave something for Sunday." And I just go, "Okay, what the hell? We're practicing. I'm not thinking about Sunday." And the game itself, I never thought, I'm playing well. I got a chance to do all this. I just was hoping we would win. And being a quarterback, there's many things. I wish I would have had that thought process for my whole career. And then just real quick, throw an interception early in the game, I would sit on the bench and go, oh my God, I made a mistake on the first series. Now I got to play it careful the rest of the game. And then there were other games I'd throw an interception early in the game. I'd come over and people go, hey, don't worry. I said, hey, man, I ain't worried. Be ready. I might throw 6 today, so help me make a tackle because I'm going. We're going to play. And when you just really don't pay attention to anything is how we played the Super Bowl and the playoffs in that run is you don't think about winning and losing. You think about the play, you play, and you don't hear the crowd. I don't hear all the mean things the defensive players are saying to me and cursing at me and all that stuff. So it's, and I always say this, God, why didn't I learn that and use it more? I did late in my career, but I wasn't that way until, until like you're talking about, till we really got good and really started turning out wins and going to the playoffs.
It also takes a lot of different things, but you own that game. It was so incredible to see. And then you got to do your let's go, I'm going to Disney World, and you're an absolute icon. And you have the Sims podcast or Sims Complete podcast show. Everybody go listen to that. We're going to take a short break, but we're still live on YouTube. I want to talk to you throughout the break if that's okay. But on the TV side, we'll break here. Phil, I wanted to ask you, that game was just crazy. Just hearing you talk about it's amazing. And then, I was going to ask you, what is your relationship with the Hall of Fame at this point?
My relationship?
Like how do you feel about the Hall of Fame at this point?
Oh, I never think about it. Never. I don't think I deserve to be in it. No, I don't deserve to be in it. Maybe if I wouldn't have got hurt in some of my career, things like that, maybe I should have got when they asked me to be the alternate for the Pro Bowl and they'd call me and I said, man, I'm not coming. I've already turned that off and whatever. So I probably could have been 5 Pro Bowls. And so that's on your thing. Maybe all that would have helped, but and I'm not on the
senior ballot, Phil?
What's that?
On the senior ballot, you don't think you have a case? 2 rings, Super Bowl MVP? What you've meant to the game after the game? Please.
Okay. Like I said, I don't think about it. And I don't want to say I don't care.
Yes, you can't say that.
Again, I don't deserve to be in. Okay. And I'm fine with that. Honestly, winning the damn Super Bowls is, I got something out of all this, So, I always think about this and I feel bad. There's so many really good players on both sides of the ball, and especially quarterbacks that don't win Super Bowls. It's like we lose the thought process about them. And, I'm going to do something tomorrow about throwing the football and all this in the NFL. And I said, one of the names I never hear talked about is Dan Marino. Man, and it's all because he didn't win a Super Bowl. We kind of forget about Dan Marino. My gosh, damn, could he throw? And but we never talk about him being one of the great quarterbacks strictly because he didn't win when he went to the Super Bowl and they should have got there and won some Super Bowls, then we'd be talking about him. But let me say this, as you're talking, I have wrote down in my notes, I'm going to use this and we're going to talk these things in a podcast tomorrow.
Okay.
Sam Darnold, Baker Mayfield, Matt Stafford, and Geno Smith.
Yeah.
Man, how about that? Sam Darnold. Baker Mayfield.
Love him.
Played so well last year. It was ridiculous. And Matt Stafford, I'm not going to go into people that do this business, but what does he want? He did nothing in Detroit. I said, yeah, you're right. When he was in Detroit before the season, I go, damn, their Super Bowl, they probably should win the Super Bowl. Now, I'm being sarcastic to make my point. And they go, oh, well, yeah, oh, okay, you could be right. No, I'm right. I never before a season and all my playing whatever and covering games thought, man, Detroit has a chance to go to the Super Bowl. But so finally, what do you have to do? Before everybody starts saying what a great quarterback he is, which he is, the word great you can use for Matt Stafford because he's one of the top 5 throwers of the ball in history. But he had to go win that Super Bowl for it finally to come out and get people talking in the right vein about him. So, oh well.
Who do you think has good odds? Do you like Baker's chances to go win a Super Bowl this year? They're completely unheralded, no primetime love. You said they didn't know how to win that game against the Commanders.
Oh my gosh. I was watching that game and I just was like, I kind of felt bad for Baker because he was playing great and having moments. I'm going, wow, another good play. And, the other thing that gets washed away about Baker, really smart, very competitive, is the kind of guy that guys gravitate to. And that SOB is a throwing SOB.
Yeah.
I mean, he can throw that damn ball. And when in
And he
doubt,
can throw some blocks too, which everybody loves to see. And he's tough. Yeah. I like, yeah. All right. So
And
they're
did you
going to the
hear
Super
what-
Bowl. Bucks to the Super Bowl. That's what Phil Sims says, Buccaneers to the Super Bowl.
No, but listen to this one here.
I know.
So the head
gotta
coach,
wrap.
Todd Bowles is asked,
Yeah.
can you explain Baker Mayfield to us? And he goes, well, yeah. If I told him to walk across the room and stick his face into that fan, he would.
Yeah.
And that's all I need to hear. That tells you
I think
everything
if I had to pick a quarterback I'd want to play with, I think it'd be, well, Stafford's hard to beat too. Players love Stafford, but I would probably say Baker Mayfield. And on that, in your time, I would have wanted to play for you, Phil. That's the truth. Phil Sims, go listen to the pod. You're going to talk about some of those quarterbacks that are getting their second chances. Preach. We're going to have Jaxson starting week 1. We're going to get you into the Hall of Fame. I know, I'm joking, Phil. We'll talk to you later. I appreciate you so much. Thank you. And I love that you take notes.
You just reeled me in, and yes, okay, you got me, but that's good.
We'll talk about Eli Manning's first ballot Hall of Fame another time in the offseason.